Welcome to the official podcast where the bombs get thrown. I'm your host, May Shayla Bogan, and I introduce to you the Mike Bomb Podcast.
This is my night, this is my pain, this is my life, this is what I was born to do. I was born to do. Every new day, every new night, every new stage, every new fight. This is what I was born to do. I was born to do. Fall to my knees every night and I pray, asking Lord, let him hear. I got something to say. There's a fear out there and it's coming your way. Don't let it stop you from living for what you were made. It's not a dream, it's a destiny.
All right, welcome to the Mike Bomb Podcast, the final episode of the podcast with your host, May Shayla, your co-host, Kayla Lewis, and Stacy will be joining us whenever she's ready. But we gotta get started. Kayla, how are you doing on this day?
I'm kind of in my feelings. That this is the last episode. I don't know if I'm ready.
Yeah, I don't think any of us are. Bittersweet feeling is what I usually would say, but it's gonna be pretty emotional for us all because this is it.
Shay, if you start crying, I'm gonna cry, and we're not gonna make it through. So we gotta wait till the end for the teams.
Yeah.
We gotta
Yeah.
wait till the end.
Yeah, definitely. But you know what they say, the ending of what was a great journey is only the beginning to a new one. So
Hey, we'll have some news. We'll tweet it from the
yeah,
show's
definitely. That's
Twitter
the good
account.
part. Yeah, that's the good thing about being in contact with one another, and that's the good thing about podcasting is that it create bonds that can take you beyond your career.
Exactly.
But the show must go on. Hopefully, Stacy can join us whenever. Because, like I said, this is the final episode, and it'll be great to see the whole crew, one last time together before the sun sets. Let's try to
We're gonna try to keep it together, y'all. We're gonna try to keep it together.
keep it together. Yes, no question. No question we're gonna try. But like we said already, it's time to get started. It's time to get back to business. First topic of the day, obviously the NFL season has already gotten started. So it's really time to get into that. What are your thoughts really on the preseason at first before we even get started?
So in general, I feel like there seems to be a big stir about all of these young quarterbacks making it to the starting spot. I feel like that's an interesting way to start. I feel like you've seen, different sports personalities kind of doubting them, which I find interesting because I feel like we were just hyping some of these top quarterbacks up as they were preparing for the league. Granted, I know that pro reps and college reps are not the same, but I really do hope that these young QB1s can show out this season.
Yeah, Kayla, I gotta agree with you there. I've been hearing about the names of CJ Stroud because I'm a Buckeye fan. I've been hearing about Bryce Young, who's a huge star at Alabama. Didn't really hear much about Anthony Richardson, but obviously started hearing his name more as he was just awarded, or have officially earned the starting spot for
We're trying out
the
here.
quarterback position.
We have to throw a positive headline in there for y'all.
Yeah. Jonathan Taylor just departed from the team due to personal issue, but I think he'll be back. Thank God you got him back. So it's basically seeing what Darnell Washington can do, or not Darnell Washington. Correct me.
Hey, Bill, how are you?
Anthony Richardson.
Oh, my bad, girl. Didn't mean to cut you off. Shay.
Hey, it's good. It's all good. We was actually waiting for Stacy to show her face. We actually did not want you to miss this episode. So, girl, we can't hear you.
Stace, you're still on mute, boo. You're on mute.
Since the beginning of the pandemic. Anywho, any event, doing a disservice to myself because I could not find my ring light. So I had to, MacGyver one. So, but we here, and that's all that matters. Hello, everybody.
Yeah,
Good
yeah,
having you
we're
all.
here on what would be the last bomb, but we're here. We was just getting started on the NFL season, so let's just hop into it. Um, let's just do this right now as it is. Obviously, growing up and being on this podcast, we, without question, we figured out trying to get it together here. We figured out who each other teams was. We did not veer away from it through the good, through the bad. You have Steeler Nation over here within your whole Shay. You have Colts over there within Kayla, and then you have the ATL and the Falcons with your girl Stacey J. So let's just get into it then. What are your expectations for your team heading into the 2023 NFL season? As like already stated on this podcast, it is right around the corner. We are, ladies and gentlemen, less than 3 weeks away from kickoff.
Yes. So I actually am very excited. The Falcons just had their preseason game televised last week, and the second string looked pretty good against those Dolphins. And, you can't tell too much about preseason. You can't get too hyped. But if the first season is any good, or as they should be, better than the second string, I'm extremely excited because I know we're coming out number one in the NFC South. Like, look at the material. It's up for grabs. Just look at it without throwing no shade, no tea, but look at the material. And I'm sure we're going to get into that a little bit later. But I'm actually really excited. Do I think they're going to go for the goal and get to the bowl? Most likely not. But the progress that they're going to make in comparison to last season is going to be immense. And it's enough to get me super excited as a fan again. So I am happy, excited for the season.
At least one of us is like confident. I can't necessarily make heads or tails of how I feel about the Colts season. I feel like we're gonna go through a lot of growing pains. New coaching staff, like we already mentioned. We just announced that our rookie Anthony Richardson is going to be QB1. I feel like, I don't know. And then, you got the JT drama that may or may not be drama for real. I love my Colts fans, but we are a tad bit dramatic. So I don't know. I'm just happy to be here. I'm feeling a little bit more confident than I was last season, but like I said, I'm just happy to be here. I'm just happy that we may be somewhat decent, and it does not look like our former head coach is off to a great start with his new team, but we'll take it as we may.
So, Kayla, how do you feel about the decision to start rookie Anthony Richardson over Gardner Minshew, who the Colts intentionally went to grab from Jacksonville to come to provide some type of leadership without you having a quarterback?
Well, okay. I'm glad that we've decided that we are going to go with somebody that is, under the age of 30. And that hopefully can stay with the team for longer than a season. So I'll take that as a positive.
Okay.
I still think I need to see a little bit more from him. Granted, I am happy to see that the team seems to be behind him 100%. And if y'all follow me on Twitter, I talked about this a little bit yesterday. I think it was either yesterday or Monday, whenever they broke the news that he was going to be QB1. I am here for the humbleness that he has, and I'm here for the little sprinkle of I'm him that he comes with as well. However, again, Indy is dramatic. So if he turns that I'm him up a little too much, they're going to come for him as soon as he has a bad game. But I'm here for the quarter black. So I'm hoping that he does well.
I was waiting for you to say that. I was actually waiting for you to say that.
I've got my notes up on my laptop. I think I've got it in here at least 5 more times.
Listen.
Yeah,
as you should.
5 more times.
As you should. Like she said, as you should. But yeah, I'm pretty excited for the 2023 season, and all for the right reasons, because I actually have confidence in my Pittsburgh Steelers headed into this season than I did last season. Because last season, I'm gonna be real here. On paper, offensively, we looked a damn mess. The only thing that was really faithful like that to me, or that I should have 100% confidence in, one was our running back in Najee Harris. But now to find out that he has legit backup within running back number 2 or RB2 in Jalen Warren, to me, who could be an extreme dominant back in this league, but obviously sitting behind Najee Harris just what's best for him in the Steelers right now, because we all know Najee's the guy. But we got ourselves a quarterback in Kenny Pickett. And that is what I'm also happy about, because I'm more confident heading into this season with Kenny Pickett than I was with Mitchell Trubisky heading into last season. And I'm telling you why, because Kenny has confidence that, to me, Mitchell Trubisky lacked. He has more game awareness. He just got the it in him to be a franchise quarterback. And I think that Mitchell Trubisky's spot, it was just best for him to be on the bench. I'm gonna just say that.
And no shade, no tea, but Mitch Trubisky always kind of gave QB2 to me. He always gave me QB2 vibes. I mean, nice guy.
He's not clutch enough to be number one. It is what it is. Steelers are a story franchise. We all know this. Listen, we knew coming into last year was who would be the guy to succeed Big Ben. Was it going to be Pickett Bird or was it going to be Mitch Bird? I was leaning towards Pickett, because you don't take a quarterback in the first round and you're not having intentions for him to become your guy, whether it's the number 1 overall pick, the 20th overall pick, or even the 32nd. But you don't, it's just certain things you just don't do. So I already knew eventually they was going to move on with Pickett, maybe this season, heading into this season, or like we saw sometime last season. But not only that, our offensive line is much better. It's much better. I liked what I saw last year from our offensive line ending the season. I like the moves that they made this year. I like that they got Isaac Seumalo. I like that they drafted Broderick Jones out of Georgia this past draft, trading up, from the 17th overall pick to the 14th overall pick. I liked all of that. But what I also like is that they did get the enforcer on their defense. They did tighten up the linebacking core, which to me is a much better upgrade on paper this year than last year. I also like the fact that they did keep Alex Highsmith in Pittsburgh for another 4 to 5 years, along with the duo of TJ Watt and Cameron Hayward. So I'm pretty excited to see what they're going to do and see the next step he's going to take. But I'm also excited about Joey Porter Jr. being on the Steelers. So it's a much better Pittsburgh Steelers team, I think, this year than last year. And honestly, I could definitely talk about the AFC North Division right now, because I think my Steelers is going to be in the run for it. But that's why I'm excited, because it's a lot for the first time in a hot minute, it's a lot to be excited about in Pittsburgh. And it's a good time to be a Steeler fan, because this is a young team, this is a physical team, and this is a team that clearly wants to win football games. And I think we're going to do just that.
Very good. And I actually agree. I agree.
All right. So I guess we're moving on to the new topic then.
Hey, we're rolling through this. We're trying to keep it together, so we just got to keep going.
Yeah, yeah, we're trying. Caleb, please don't do it. I'm gonna use my airy strength. I'm gonna use my airy strength and keep it and try to keep it together. Keyword: try to.
Y'all, look here. I am a natural redhead who is also a Scorpio. We just gonna do what we may.
And I am a Virgo in Atlanta who was empowered by the recent Renaissance tour by fellow Virgo Beyonce. So
yeah, I'm mad for all. Don't rub it in, Stacey.
We can't all be great, Stacey. We can't all be God's favorite.
Thanks for asking. It was phenomenal. It was phenomenal. Great.
It was. I could tell. I'm pissed with Pittsburgh right now for that one, Stacey. We are literally the only city that booked Beyonce and canceled her. So you already know, as a member of the Beehive, I'm not happy about that. Yeah, they
Wait,
canceled
y'all
Beyonce,
can't wait.
and I
I know
had
this
my
is
outfit in all ready. I was ready, Stacy. I was ready.
how
She was
So,
does
performing
one
my
do
favorite
that?
songs and all.
okay,
How
Pittsburgh
does one
better
do
make
so
it
that?
up
Like,
though.
so this
It's like, why
conversation
would
is
you lie?
saying if you're broke, just say that. That's so I'm just gonna sit here in my corner.
Hey, if you corny, just say that. I mean, you
that's
could book
wow.
Taylor Swift, you could book freaking Ed Sheeran, then you could book Beyonce. Come on, bro.
Mm, mm,
It's the
mm.
damn. How do you cancel the queen?
I'm baffled, flabbergasted, even. Like,
Yeah.
I don't understand that. I don't.
Man,
I just click through y'all's IG stories and watch for free.
Whatever. Anyways,
but
we
just
got
be
football
smart.
to talk about. We got football to talk about. Let's just get into it. So we talked about our expectations for our teams. Obviously, we all are pretty positive. Well, all of us except for Kayla here. But let's talk about divisional winners. Obviously, we're gonna start with the AFC. You got the AFC West, you got the AFC East, you got the AFC North, and you got the AFC South. So let's start with the division that everyone, without question, has the biggest question mark about because this has been the headline of the entire offseason since Aaron Rodgers was moved to the Jets, since Jalen Ramsey, who will be out of action until late this year, December 2023 to be more exact, got moved from LA to Miami. This has been a division, the AFC East. You got Josh Allen, Stephon Diggs, and the Buffalo Bills. We heard about their story. Apparently, they made up. You still got the New England Patriots, who a lot of people are overlooking, who just picked up Ezekiel Elliott. You got the Miami Dolphins, who did acquire Jalen Ramsey this offseason, Tyreek Hill last offseason, who did make the playoffs with Tua back in action, the offensive line getting upgrades, Raheem Mostert looking to prove that he's still a top back in football, and the Dolphins defensive line, who to me is being overlooked, just looking to make the statement. You still got Xavier Howard. And then who else we missing here? You got the New York Jets over here with Aaron Rodgers, with Sauce Gardner, with Garrett Wilson, with Brees Hall coming off of the ACL injury, who just got
And now
cleared to
with
practice.
Dalvin Cook, right? They just picked up Dalvin Cook.
And
right?
they just picked up Dalvin Cook. See, there's so much going on in this division this offseason. It's just so hard to keep up with it. But it's good because it gives people like us and others who enjoy this something to talk about. So let's talk about it. The AFC East division. Who are you guys picking? Because
First of all, I have a bone to pick with the Jets. First of all, y'all took up the whole hotel this weekend. I spent some time in Charlotte with my parents, so I'm salty. I just needed to use the restroom security, and we're rerouting people, but that's beside the point. But I really do like what I'm seeing from the Bills and the Jets. Bills, I just feel like they've been doing well these last couple of years, and then if you've been watching Hard Knocks preseason with the Jets, you can just see how much respect that locker room already has for Aaron Rodgers. And I feel
it's Aaron freaking Rodgers.
Exactly. And again, like from the rookies to those that have been in the league for several years, I mean, even the coaching staff has a great amount of respect for him. So, I mean, I feel like if you've got that much respect from your team already and the season hasn't even kicked off for real, I feel like you can't really argue with that right now until they prove me otherwise when we kick off week 1.
Agree.
Yeah, I agree. And I feel like the Jets were just a few pieces missing from potential greatness the entire time. And it turns out what they were actually missing is veteran leadership. And with Aaron
and
Rodgers,
a quarterback that won't screw him over.
Yeah. I mean, but again, this is going to be my theme of the show, no shade, no tea, to Zach Wilson. He's a child. So, and he was acting like one. So that was part of the leadership that they needed. Typically, the quarterbacks are the captains of the team, and a lot of team members lean on the quarterbacks to kind of power them through, push them through, give them hope, give them direction. Zach Wilson wasn't capable of that. So they were really yearning for that, and they got that and more in Aaron Rodgers. So the sky is literally the limit for the Jets, and nothing else is going to be very, very fun to watch them this season. I love to watch. My second favorite team to watch outside of my Falcons was the Green Bay Packers because of Aaron Rodgers. And now that he's there and he's acquired, he has all these great weapons. Again, we just said they just got Dalvin Cook. They're becoming more and more of a complete team. Coaching staff is getting together and is on point. Hard Knocks is hyping us up. They have the potential to really do it and give it all. Now, we always expect Bills to go the distance. I'm excited to see what adjustments and changes they've made since that embarrassing exit from the playoffs last season. They got a lot of making up to do. We all know they're a phenomenal regular season team. So they're really going to be the ones to watch when it gets towards the end of the season, pushing into those playoffs. It's no doubt in our minds, unless they pull a Rams and completely just fall on their, can we say ass, this season. Probably just pull a complete 180. But those are my two to take it to the top. Not saying that I don't trust Tua, but we know he's half of a concussion away from even being a conversation in the game of football ever again.
Exactly.
Like
and then
football ever again. So
and that's what's making me nervous about them in this conversation.
Right.
But it's not just that though in Miami. Not to cut you off, Stacey. It's also the fact that Jalen Ramsey is out until December
Yes.
2023. That's late in the season. That's basically where we would pretty much have a good idea of who's in and who's out of the playoffs, which is a little bit of something we're going to get into as well on this show. But you got to think about all of that. Like, we got to think about this for a second, because everybody sits here and pick the Dolphins because of moves like that. At one point, I was like, whoa, they just got Jalen Ramsey. They have Xavier Howard. But now that he's away until December, they had to replace him with Eli Apple, or who I call Eli Trashbull.
Wow.
Or like a lot of other people call burnt toast, but we ain't going to get on that.
Listen, we already on that. I'm the one who said Eli Trashbull, and I stand on that. But
I'm just happy.
Listen.
If somehow this happens to get across Eli Apple's desk or his representation or whatever, again, no shade, no tea. But if the health of my franchise hinged on the performance of Eli Apple to hold us over till we get to keep us competitive until we get to the playoffs, I'm just going to go ahead and buy my ticket and just sit by the concession stand.
Hey, look, if he gets a hold of it, Stacey, if he gets a hold of this episode, he might buy your ticket. Because you know his Twitter fingers get happy when people decide that they want to talk
Bing
about
bong,
it.
baby, take me to dinner. We can talk about it. But I'm just saying, like, just step your cookies up. That's all. And it's just like, I mean, it's all fair in love and football and the game of football. It's just, I can't hang my hat on Eli Apple being the savior of my season, or the glue that's holding my season together, or the vehicle that's propelling my season to the playoffs, and just for waiting for Jalen Ramsey to get back. Like,
yeah, I can't either. I don't see that, but it was that, and it's also the reason that basically you mentioned already. Tua's concussions. That could definitely come into play. That's why I feel like the offensive line and the running game both got to take a major step this year. With the Bills, with the Bills and the Jets, both right there in your division, you have to take a step this year in the run game. Because, the Jets are going to come with a run game. The Bills are going to come with a run game. Hell, the Patriots acquiring Ezekiel Elliott is telling you where their attention's at in the run game. And Damian Harris is no scrub. You got to think about all of this if you're the Dolphins. You got to have Raheem Mostert take over games time to time, especially playing in the cold. Because take it from a New Jersey baby, playing in MetLife in, November, December, or anywhere beyond September is going to be cold. It's cold as bricks in Buffalo. I've been in Boston area for like 2 years of my life. So trust me, I know what I'm talking about. It is cold as bricks up there. Long story short, you're in the snow, you're in the rain, you're in the hail, you're in every ounce of cold weather pretty much all year round.
And
So
I mean, I don't want to put this out there for Tua because I really do want him to bounce back and be healthy.
I do
But
too.
I know I'm probably showing my age for some of our listeners, but I don't know if you all remember. I can't remember what year it was, but I do know that it was when the Colts were still playing in the RCA Dome. And Austin Collie got smacked by somebody on the Jacksonville defense. You could hear a pin drop in that stadium. That's how quiet it was. And homie was down for a good 2 minutes or so, not moving, but you could hear that sigh of relief when like you got a little bit of from Austin Collie. Where's Austin Collie now?
Yeah, you got to think about that. But that's probably why they changed the rules, Kayla. It's because of hits like that. And I'll say it. People like us and people like the other AFC North team and the Bengals in those games too definitely played a factor into that because they realize not everybody can take that type of physicality, and they wanted this league to be around as much as much as it should be. But it's plain as simple as that. We still got to answer the question though, girls. Who's your pick to win the AFC East division? Because to me, I'm gonna say it right now, I'm going with the Buffalo Bills until further notice.
Likewise.
Same.
Yeah. To win the division solely, absolutely the Bills.
Yeah. No question.
Okay, well then let's move on then. I guess we all on Team Buffalo with that one.
I feel like this is the first time in a while that all three of us are on the same page.
Why are you being alignment on the last show? See, y'all about to make me
Hey, listen. I don't think that's going to be the first one.
We still got a few more things to go. We still got time to shake it up just a tad.
Yeah, okay. It's the end of the episode. But anyway, let's go with the AFC West now, because now it's time to talk about that. I think we're going to be on the same page with this one because
easy money.
Ain't really, easy money. Like you said, Stacey, it's easy money. So
but I do have a question if we're all on the same page. But I'll let us go ahead and decide that we're all on the same page, though.
Okay, well, out the AFC West, you got the Kansas City Chiefs, the defending Super Bowl champions. You got the Los Angeles Chargers. You got Russell Wilson and the Denver Broncos. And then you have Jimmy Garoppolo and the Las Vegas Raiders. Obviously, last episode I had Lexi up here on the show. We both picked her team to win the division, and that's where I'm standing until further notice. I am rolling with the Kansas City Chiefs. I don't see the competition in the West that everyone sees. Obviously, you watched the last preseason game, even though it's only preseason. Like Stacey said, you can't get too excited because you're not going to get all their tricks in the preseason, because preseason it's like scrimmages in every other league, like every other level of football leagues. So, but I'm not impressed with what I saw from Denver.
Yes, I am also Stevie Wonder to any team in the AFC West that is not in Kansas City.
Unless the Chargers step up, I got the Chiefs.
Okay, Falcons West, they're definitely not going to step up. They're going to step up a little bit. They'll give you a little bit, and they will disappoint you in the end. There is nothing that they have done in the offseason to me that would give me any reason to believe that there would be anything different from last season. The only thing they have,
get their superstar wife pregnant again.
Right, there it is. There's
let
that.
me mind my business.
Also, potentially overpay their quarterback, who again has not gotten them to the playoffs in the past 3 seasons, but no shade, no tea. The Broncos, I'm excited to see the Broncos only because it's really do or die for them. If Sean Payton and Don can't get them any forward momentum or forward mobility with Russell, we might be seeing the glass of Russell in Denver. There's nothing else they really can do for him there. If Sean Payton can't work with him, he has Jerry Jeudy. He has all of these other weapons. And it's going to be a chemistry issue. Clearly,
I agree.
if they can't get it together. And I mean, you can't. It's hard to fix chemistry. It's really hard to fix chemistry. So I'm just really trying. I'm really going to be watching the Broncos to see if they can just mesh and make it work. Jimmy Garoppolo is. I mean,
he's just happy to be here.
He's just happy to be here. You know what? I love that for him. So we're just going to leave that there for him. He has definitely found ways to extend his invites at the party. I'm not mad at it. Keep getting those checks. He's also someone who definitely gives QB2 energy, but he just, keeps getting that QB1 spot again. Ain't mad at it.
Because of his resume.
Because of it. Yeah, because of his resume. But it's just like, yeah, Kayla, we on the same page.
He's just happy to be here.
He's just happy to be here. To a certain extent. Now, I will give him credit. He has had some injuries that has hindered him and limited him, and how far he was able to go in a lot of those seasons. So let's not be too hard on him. But yeah,
exactly.
My pick is the Chiefs, and that's how I feel about the AFC West.
I'm in agreement with you, ladies. But I do have a question that I found interesting. So I was in the gym watching Get Up. And the question they posed about the Chiefs was, do they count on Mahomes and Kelsey too much? And if either one of them happens to go down for real, what can we expect from them?
I feel like we have already kind of seen that happen. Now, are they the workhorses of the Chiefs? Absolutely. They're phenomenal at their jobs, and that's what they're there to do. Patrick Mahomes went down for a game. The backup QB, who isn't there anymore, now in Atlanta, he stepped up just like he was supposed to. Travis Kelce actually went out for a game, I believe a game or two. The rest of the team stepped up. I think that Andy Reid has prepared that team well enough that if one of the major superstars were to go out, they would not fall out of contention. So, I'm confident in that. And Andy Reid has been coaching since, Moses played quarterback back in Jerusalem. So like, he knows what to do, and he knows how to put the right people with the right talents in the right places so that they'll be able to sustain. Now, will they be the same Chiefs that we know and expect? Probably not, but will it completely take them out of contention? I don't think so.
I don't really have much to add for the AFC West. I feel like there's no clear argument outside of the Chiefs. I mean, like I snippily said, if that's a word earlier, if we can keep Russell off of Sierra long enough for him to focus, I don't know what is going on there. I feel like he's just this is not the same Russell that we saw in Seattle, and I'm gonna need them to work that out. Otherwise, like you said, we got to start asking some questions in the off season. Because, sir, what are you doing?
We know what he's doing. We see what he's doing. We know.
Facts.
Shay?
I need him to find another hobby outside of that.
Of course. We all know.
Now, do you feel, the Get Up question, do you feel that if Patrick Mahomes or Travis Kelce goes out, that the Chiefs are done for?
I wouldn't say they're done for. I don't think there's enough evidence to say that they're done for. We've seen the Chiefs get to the playoffs so many times before Mahomes got there, but they had Alex Smith. So obviously that could be a different story depending on who the backup is. But the one thing Patrick Mahomes does is prepare his backups to be starters, and that's the one thing I have read a lot over Mahomes in the years. But my divisional pick, obviously I said it's the Kansas City Chiefs. Without question, until further notice, they are the team to beat, not only in the AFC West, but the AFC Conference, and of course the NFL. That's the perks of being the defending champions. But I gotta speak on Russell Wilson and the Denver Broncos. Obviously, I'm with you. It's do or die, because you cannot sit here and pay a quarterback all this money. Give him all this luxury, and then he cracks the bed tic-tac-toe 2 years in a row. You know what I mean? You got.
He's got babies to feed.
And they fired Viango, or his name, last year. They brought in a guy who has a good resume or a great resume in Sean Payton. This is the same dude who coached the great Drew Brees up to an MVP and a Super Bowl championship in the same season. So it's like you got to think about that. We seen Sean Payton, correct me, win multiple games with Drew Brees. But on the flip side to what you said, Stacey, is this. You did mention that Sean Payton leaves no excuses for Russell Wilson, and I agree with you there. But here's the flip side. We did see Drew Brees, the great Drew Brees, miss the playoffs more times than he should with the same coach. So it's like you got to think about it from that perception. But when you're Russell Wilson, you the one who left Pete Carroll behind because you couldn't get your way 100% in Seattle. And the same thing you can say about Sean Payton, you can say about Pete Carroll. As a matter of fact, Pete Carroll actually is the one who been, so arguably, if not indefinitely, more Super Bowls than Sean Payton, but obviously have the same accolades matched. He is the one who coached one of the greatest defenses up in the Legion of Boom back in 2012, 2013, 2014 when they went on that huge milestone run, being statistically the greatest defense of all time since the 2008 Steelers. But like I said, the Denver Broncos got to cash in. They got to cash in because it's just too much invested into Russell Wilson and Sean Payton. You have been the headline of the entire offseason. And the reason why we're talking about the Chiefs is because they're the defending champions. Like I said, they're the team to beat until further notice, and that not just in their division and the conference, but the entire league. But I'm picking them to win the division because I don't think anyone offensively could keep up with them. You could put anybody around Kelsey and Mahomes, and they're going to make nothing out of something out of nothing. But people are underestimating the Chiefs' defensive line. Chris Jones is no joke. You could put anyone you want around him, and he would easily neutralize the opposing offensive line to give them their shine. That matters. Justin Reed, to me, can be an underrated safety, even though he should keep his mouth shut time to time. But he could be an underrated safety, an extreme underrated safety. But it's about who can basically coach something out of nothing. And I don't see no coach in that division that defines that saying better than the great Andy Reid. But on the flip side of it, I just think that the Chargers will play second in that division because I don't see Denver being better than them either. I'm sorry. I got the Broncos going third in that division. And don't get me started on these Raiders who only has Devontae Adams and Josh Jacobs. You got Max Crosby on defense, but you're going to need more than that to compete in not one, but, in this division that has not one, but two high-power offenses. But the Chargers, they got Quentin Johnson. They got Mike Williams. They got Keenan Allen. That's no joke. They got Eckler at the running game. You see what I'm saying? So the Chargers, if Justin Herbert can play up to what his contract say he is, they can be a problem this year, and I think they are going to be. But I'm picking the Kansas City Chiefs for all the reasons that I said. And Patrick Mahomes, let's just call it like it is. He's just a whole different breed, man. And when I'm talking about quarterback, I'm talking about player overall.
Himothy.
What you say? Yes.
Yes. He's Himothy. But yes, and let's not also forget, with the Raiders, we have to be on Josh Jacobs. Josh Jacobs' watch. As we know, he hasn't been too happy with his front office either. So if he also decides that, he's not, if he gets on his James Harden stuff in the middle of this season, and just like, I'm not feeling it. That's something to keep an eye on too. And Max Crosby is in solidarity with him. Devontae Adams has also spoken about not being happy about how everything went down as well. So the fallout is looming over this entire situation. And we always talk about how chemistry and how it's important. I am just waiting to see if and how this affects their season as well.
I think so too. All right. You want to say something, Caleb, before we tap into your division? Because that's what's next. Or should we see North next?
I'm here for North or South.
Who we here for, Stacey?
AFC. Let's do no. Come on, Kayla. Let's go.
Okay. We're going north. We're going north on it. Okay,
We're going
cool.
north.
All right. Sorry, Shay. And this is gonna be time number 2. But I really tried not to say it again, but quarterback.
Yeah, I knew it was coming. Quarterback.
I'm going with Lamar from the standpoint of you just signed a huge contract. You got to show that you're, going to return on that investment. And then you did all that campaigning to get OBJ there. Y'all got to show out. Y'all got to show out. Y'all got to show up and show out.
Yes,
So
the
you're
Ravens
picking the
are
Ravens.
another. Yeah, the Ravens are another team that are low on like room to fudge up this season.
Oh, they're out of
It's just
control.
like they've been given a lot of grace, and understandably, Lamar Jackson was working with nothing for a very long time, and now a lot of the chips are in their favor. And we talked 2 episodes ago about how the league looks at you if you're a quarterback and you get the money that you deserve, how this microscope is automatically put on you in the moment that you don't perform in the way that you feel like you should perform. It's like your name's in the tabloids every day. So they are running low on grace. So they have to pull it out. And that's the reason why I feel like the Ravens are going to be number 1
Right.
in the division.
And also, selfish plug here. Wayne, if you can, coordinate with Lamar about his hair care products, the girls want to know, because baby, those twist outs, those braid outs, the braids in general, they be hitting, sir. But anyway, that's who I'm going.
It's the Shea Moisture. Is that what you're using? Is it Miel? Let us know, Lamar.
Right. And I mean, you should look into those endorsements, but again, the girls want to know. The girls want to know.
Really?
Hey, look, I shouted out a former guest. Like, we got connections.
We got
connections.
Oh, yeah.
But I do. But in all seriousness, I'm going with the Ravens because, like we said, they don't have much room to not show up and show out this season. And I mean, again, like I said with Anthony Richardson, I feel like in his in-game interview this weekend, Lamar did give us a little bit of that humbleness with saying, that's all God when it came to his contract. But at the same time, there was a little bit of I'm him in there. But I know, we've talked about this, with quarterbacks in general, they got to be extra careful with that microscope as, him and Jalen have these major contracts. So we got to keep that. We got to keep a little bit of I'm him in there, but I really don't have room or space for him to mess this up for this.
So,
Well, obviously you may call me a little bit biased here, but I'm gonna go with my Pittsburgh Steelers to win the AFC North Division this year. But I'm glad to hear that we're all crowning new AFC North champions this year. I'm glad because thank God nobody said the other team to win this division because I don't see
we wouldn't dare, Shay. We wouldn't dare.
It's not even favoritism of me. I can't stand their fans, but I really don't see how outside of their receiving court. I really don't. And I'll explain later on when we bring this up again, because we're going to have another topic where we bring this up again. But I'm going to go with my Pittsburgh Steelers for all the reasons that I've said before. Offensive line played phenomenal the second half of the season. Kenny Pickett went from one of the most sacked quarterbacks in football in the first half of the season to arguably the least sacked. That's improvement. The run game. 8 games straight, we have seen this run game average at least 100 yards or more per game. From the duels of Najee Harris, Jalen Warren. Obviously, you have Benny Snell there. He's not there no more, but I don't think it's even going to affect them because how effective a healthy Najee Harris is on top of a great number 2 back in Jalen Warren. But the one thing I did not mention is these weapons that are here in Pittsburgh. You got Deontay Johnson looking for a bounce back here. No touchdowns last year. He heard the criticism. Trade him. Do this. Do that. Deontay, if you ever see this, I am not on that team. We want you here in Pittsburgh because I understand we need you. And people like I understand how the game of football works and understand the situation he was in last year, which is pretty unfair for a number one receiver in Deontay Johnson. But not only him, let's talk about George Pickens. People underestimate him. People also not looking at the fact that they just acquired one of the best, if not the best, tight end in the draft last year and this past year, correct me, and Darnell Washington. People forget you got Pat Fryerproof. People forget you got freaking Zach Gentry. You know what else? Another weapon that's being overlooked. Calvin Austin, and another weapon who's my dark horse pick to be a Steeler MVP, by the way, is Mr. Connor Hayward, to me, who made a milestone impact more than anyone expected him to. So it's like you got to think about all of that. That's the offense. Then on top of that, when I see a quarterback as a rookie, back-to-back weeks deliver the goods against defenses that's being led by people like Max Crosby, along with Patrick Queen and Roquan Smith, I cannot overlook this team who clearly gotten better since last season offensively. The only question mark I have about the Steelers is Matt Canada. Tic-tac-toe 3 years in a row.
You've been trying to get rid of him
The
since I've
campaign
been
has
on the
been
podcast.
strong. I ain't
Listen,
gonna hold you. The
listen.
campaign has been very strong.
I'm gonna say this. A lot of people use Matt Canada. See, here's the excuses that I've been hearing. The offensive line is not great. The quarterback is immobile and can't move, and you need a mobile quarterback that can throw the football and still move and scramble stuff. Well, guess what? Those excuses are out. You got weapons. All of them are listed. Deontay Johnson, George Pickens, Pat Fryermuth, Zach Gentry, Darnell Washington, Calvin Austin. Who else I'm missing? Connor Hayward. You got weapons all around in every freaking position. I said Najee and Jaylen Warren, just in case I did, I mentioned them again. You got them in the run game. A much upgraded offensive line with Isaac Samalu, Broderick Jones. You got Dan Moore. You have guys there. You have Mason Cole. You have James Daniels. You got veterans who clearly know what they're doing and can clearly get the job done. Then let's look at this. You got a quarterback that can throw the football in Kenny Pickett, who is mobile, who is young, who you are familiar with from your days at Pitt. Now you got the personal connection, the long-term football connection. That leaves no excuse for Matt Canada. It's do or die year, and that's why I feel this offense is going to take a huge step, more than a lot of people are pursuing. Then let's not forget about the defense, shall we? T.J. Watt, Norman Hayward, Alex Highsmith. You just acquired Kawan Alexander, who was one of the best linebackers in the league when healthy. You got some of the best of the best. Minka Fitzpatrick, Patrick Peterson, Joey Porter Jr. in the secondary. You got enough talent to become a playoff team. And you want to know what thing? This team was the 31st ranked offense last year. But you found a way to split with your entire division in a reload and rebuilding phase. Everyone knew 110% who their guy for the foreseeable future was going to be, except for you. And you found that within those 8 games last year. Then on top of that, buddy, let's not forget, 3-3 in the division. That's pretty good if you're the Pittsburgh Steelers. And to be honest, they should have been 6-0 because I look back at those divisional games. They should have not lost any of them based off how the games went. I think that the Steelers are going to win AFC North because the AFC North to me, and I said this when we had our guy, Wayne Cole, up here, who's a diehard Ravens fan. I straight up said it like this. The division is going to be determined between the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Baltimore Ravens. But guess what?
Wayne might need to run us a check if we mention him one more time.
Much love for that guy, though. I'll mention him without more.
We're gonna like I said, man, like I said, we're going to mention this guy, but I think that's who's going to be the AFC North race: the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Baltimore Ravens. You want to know why? Both teams have gotten better offensively. I don't see no team when healthy in the division defensively better than either one of these teams. I said it, I stand on it, that the AFC North is going to go back to the days where it's between the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Baltimore Ravens because I don't see it in the Bengals at all. I don't see them repeating as division champions, and I'm going to explain that down the road. But I'm going to pick the Steelers because the Steelers have been the Ravens' kryptonites. The Steelers have not lost a game against the Baltimore Ravens since 2019. The Ravens have only won one game against the Steelers since. That speaks volumes about the coaching, the team, and who gets the best of who. And until further notice, I am taking my Pittsburgh Steelers over the Baltimore Ravens, but I do have the Baltimore Ravens placing second.
That is a very compelling argument with very compelling examples. The only reason why I didn't pick the Steelers to be number one is because the AFC North has a lot of talent in it. Not saying that, the Steelers aren't talented at all, because we haven't even brought up Deshaun Watson, who got his time to pay the piper. Reports are saying that he's looking very good. He's been looking very good in preseason and snaps and camp. It's always a different story when the season starts, but that's the big X factor in the division, because if he pops off like we know he historically can, we might all be wrong. So you definitely can't, forget about him or discount him as well. But I do wish your Steelers well. I do. They are climbing a steep mountain, not only just in the division, but in the court of public opinion as well. So when they make it to the top, it'll be a glorious day. Listen, we'll have to call a special episode at the end of the season. Pinky promise, truce.
A reunion show.
Now, the Steelers win the AFC North. We got to get the people what they want.
Definitely.
Cool.
But
now, are we done with the AFC?
Who did you pick?
Who's y'all pick?
Yeah, who did you pick for the North? Oh, okay. I just flat out wasn't
Ravens,
listening. My bad.
Steelers.
Yeah,
There we go.
Y'all pick the
There we go.
Ravens. My Steelers. AFC South.
There we go. Y'all go first.
AFC South. I was going to say I feel like the Jaguars would be an easy pick, but then I remembered that the Titans made a very big pickup that could be a game changer for them. So they have DeAndre Hopkins now, I believe, and they still have Derrick Henry. So the 1-2 tag team, it could
Be dangerous.
scary hours in the AFC South. The Jacksonville Jaguars already surprised us all. They were, I guess you could say that they were the Cinderella team of the NFL last season, how they just magically popped up into the playoffs last season. So the question is, can they continue that momentum? Looking at the Texans, they've got a lot of people in places, but I'm not sure how cohesive the whole acquisitions that they got were. I feel like they still they need a lot of pieces. They still need a lot of pieces that make sense in a lot of places that make sense, and they need consistent coaching. Coaching that's going to be around, coaches they won't fire after one season. And the organization from the top is a little bit out of sorts. And that always reflects on the field. So that's why I'm not too keen on the Texans. We already spoke about the Colts. Sorry, Kayla. Sorry. And to me, it's going to be down to the Jaguars and the Titans. For momentum's sake, I'm going to say the Jaguars, but I definitely have the Titans out the door and my peripheral in number 2.
I'm going to go ahead and pick the Jaguars. I'm picking Jacksonville because, 1, the weapons they have. 2, I don't see no quarterback in the AFC South right now better than Trevor Lawrence and who can outgun Trevor Lawrence. And I don't see no defense that can stop the run game in Travis Etienne and James Robinson. So that's going to be a problem right there in Jacksonville. That duo, and then people forget, they just acquired Calvin Ridley. He just got reinstated. So now that gave Trevor Lawrence another weapon. Then on top of that, Doug Peterson is the coach with the most experience in postseason and divisional competition environment. So it matters. It matters when you have a Super Bowl winning head coach in Doug Peterson on your team with a young talent like Trevor Lawrence, with a great talent like Travis Etienne, with James Robinson following, with Calvin really looking to prove to the league why you should have not forgotten about him and why he should be remembered. And on top of that, Jacksonville's defense to me is completely underrated. I think that they're definitely going to take a step forward this year. So I'm going to pick the Jacksonville Jaguars to win that division. The Colts, I think, still got some identity crisis to figure out. Sorry, Kayla.
Okay.
I don't really see much in the Titans. I don't think DeAndre Hopkins is going to be as impactful as people think. I understand he's one of the best receivers in the game, arguably one of the best of all time. I understand that. But I don't see, and Will Levis or Malik Willis, especially in a sorry offensive system like Tennessee, I don't see, it's a sorry offensive system. Then Derrick Henry, can you stay healthy? Because it seemed like the league is starting to figure him out. The offensive line of Tennessee is a question mark. The secondary outside of Kevin Bayard is a question mark. So all these things matter when you're going against a high-power offense on paper like the Jacksonville Jaguars. Can you stop the running games and Travis Etienne, Jonathan Taylor, and others in this division? That's going to be the question mark here. I would not be surprised if the Tennessee Titans actually go last in the division. I think they should have invested. I don't think they invested enough to compete this year with the Jacksonville Jaguars. But second place don't look too bad on them based off of what they have to offer.
You think the Texans would be better than the Titans?
It's a toss-up. It's really a toss-up, honestly, because CJ Stroud can show us something. And Texans, to me, has a team that's being overlooked. But when you stunk up the joint 90% of the time, you're going to get that. And you're definitely going to have your doubts with DeAndre Hopkins and Deshaun Watson both leaving town within a year. You're going to have your doubts on what to happen next. But you do got a guy who could be a great head coach, a great defensive mind. Houston, to me, have one of the most underrated defensive linemen in football. So that matters. But I've got too many question marks about Tennessee to sit here and be like, oh, yeah, they're going to win the AFC South Division, especially with what I saw, the choke job they did last year, on top of Derrick Henry being figured out, on top of them not having no backup or no reliable help around DeAndre Hopkins. That's all going to matter. And it's going to hurt them because you don't have enough to keep up with the side power offense. Meanwhile, the offense in Jacksonville, they're going to keep up. They're going to have to keep up. But I'm going to pick the Jaguars. Caitlin, who's your pick?
So I feel like I stared at my notes trying to figure the AFC South out for a good minute today. And I say that just because, like both of you have already said, like I feel like each team has shit they still need to figure out going into this season. But if I had to make a choice, I would say the Jags, but I will give their first game to the Colts. We play them at home. We only lose when we play in Jacksonville. So I'm going to give that first game to the Colts. But, like, just overall, I mean, I feel like from a defensive side of the ball, I feel like I'm glad that Darius Leonard is back. From what I'm hearing from some of my folks that are still there, he's back. It's as if he didn't miss any beats last season. You've got, veterans on that defensive line in DeForest Buckner, Grover Stewart. They just brought Al-Quadin Muhammad back from Chicago. It's a little bit of a different system than what he was familiar with. But, I mean, you've got those big guys that know what to do. They've got that leadership. Our offensive line, I'm not feeling too confident in them, to be quite honest. We don't have that, strong leadership anymore. I feel like Quentin Nelson needs to mature a little bit more. So it'd be interesting to see how they protect Anthony Richardson. So, I mean, I think I'm going to give us like 2 or 3 in that slot. And then, the Titans and the Texans, I go back and forth with them for 3 and 4. Just like you guys said, again, what did they do in the offseason? I didn't hear much about them, unfortunately. Shout out to Danico Autry. I hope he does have a great season there with that Titans defense. I mean, they do have some good leadership in him, but I don't know how vocal he has been to, truly help them out. But short answer, I give it to Jacksonville also.
All right, so we did AFC. Let's go with the NFC. NFC East, I'm picking the Philadelphia Eagles. Who's your pick to win?
Stacey, you go ahead,
Fly,
because I feel
Eagles,
like the
fly.
public already knows what I'm going to say. Exactly.
Hashtag team quarterback.
Exactly. But y'all know, I have to say it one last time. This is a Jacoby Brissett stan account, but I don't, Jacoby, I got love for you, sir, but this is what, team number 2 or 3 since he left the Colts? So I'm gonna need old boy to find a home and stay there. I just how well he's gonna do.
All that merch is piling up.
We gotta find a home. We gotta find
that
a home.
Jacoby Brissett merch is piling up.
All right, so
I haven't even bought a jersey yet because that's too much money to be shipping it to my house for it to be a different jersey the next year.
Mm-hmm.
That's true. That's true. All right, so NFC West. Who do you have to win the division out? The Niners, the Rams, the Seahawks, the Cardinals. I would go with the Niners until further notice, but I won't be surprised if Seattle wins the division.
I'm going with the Seahawks. Brock Purdy has had a rough start. Again, preseason means nothing. But just based off what I am seeing presently and what I feel the ancestors whispering to me and my ear, I feel like this is going to be a continuation of the breakout of Geno Smith, and I want nothing more for him than that. So for that reason, I am putting all my chips on the Seahawks to come out of the NFC West.
I think I'm gonna have to agree with you, Stace. So, like, let's see the growth, Gina. Let's see it. Let's see it.
Let's see it. So you're picking Seattle too as well?
Yes.
All right.
Yep.
All right, but I'm gonna be a pretty toss-up putting that division between those two teams right there. But like I said, I'm picking San Francisco for sake for that. NFC North, who do you have? The Vikings, the Packers, the Lions, and then you got the Bears.
Oh my.
I think it's a toss-up, in my opinion. I think it's a toss-up between the Detroit Lions and the Green Bay Packers. And I'm gonna tell you why. The Vikings lost too much this offseason. Obviously, getting Brian Flores can help, but I need some more weapons on that defense, which they do not have. The secondary is pretty suspect. I think losing Patrick Peterson and getting nothing out of it is definitely going to hurt them.
Yes.
And on top of it, you just lost Dalvin Cook, you lost Adam Thielen, you don't have no one to replace them except for Jordan Addison, who's now in concussion protocol. So we might see a decline in the Vikings. Now, I won't be surprised if Minnesota does repeat as the NFC North champions, but I won't be surprised if they lose it either. But Detroit made some tremendous offseason moves, and they, to me, had a phenomenal draft. I think Dan Campbell is definitely ready for his team to take the next step forward. So that's why I'm going to pick the Detroit Lions. But my dark horse pick will be Green Bay Packers due to the run game that's still there and Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon. Still with that defense in Green Bay, to me, that can be top-notch if played correctly. Jared Alexander, one of the best cornerbacks in football, is no joke. I just think that it's up to Jordan Love and the receiving coordinate weapons that he has within the tight ends that can work. But I'm going to pick the Detroit Lions because, to me, that's the sleeper team in the NFC this year.
Absolutely. And hands down, not even close, Detroit Lion coming out of the NFC North. But I do not have enough faith in Jordan Love to put the Green Bay Packers at number 2. It's just like you have all of that. They do. They have all of that talent. But if you don't have a quarterback that can pretty much deliver it to you, they can't do it on their own. And quite frankly, we don't even have enough tape on Jordan Love for real to even make a good deduction. But I just don't I don't feel that confident in him for a strong number two. So for that reason, my dark horse for number two would be the Bears. The Chicago has made more effort and progress to develop Justin Fields, to put weapons around Jordan Fields, to give Jordan Fields Justin, who is Jordan? My Lord, Justin Fields.
You went from Jordan Love to Justin real quick. It's fine.
Forgive me, y'all. It looks like they're trying. The court of public opinion got in their ass enough to where at least it looks like they were attempting to try to give Justin Fields more of what he needs. That is yet to be seen during the season. If it comes to fruition, I feel like they're a great number two, not enough to take that top spot. Clearly belongs to the Lions. But yeah, that's my take on NFC North.
I'm gonna have to go with the Lions, but I wanted to touch on the Bears real quick, and only because like I really do want Justin to be great, but I really want Chicago to put more effort into that offensive line to protect that boy. And I really need them to, take some time to reevaluate their life. And also I want to take the chance to be petty and say shout out to the Colts defensive coaching staff that seems to have taken over the Bears coaching in general. But again, I need them to get it together.
Yes.
Oh, and just like that, I believe we are one division away now. Stacey, we're going to your NFC South division. Who's your
And
pick?
I have already told you. And this is, in my Shay voice, unbiased. But let's just do a process of elimination. I'm not even going to say it. Who? If not them, who? You have Bryce Young, bless his heart, just started with the Panthers. Every picture, still video frame you see of Bryce Young is him getting toe out the frame. Bless that boy. Bless him. Help him, protect him. He looks like he's just getting ramrodded every picture that they take. And I hope it's not true. I know he has to have a praying grandmother somewhere because they just handed it to him on the field. And it's preseason. So he got to make it through the season. So bless him. And then Carolina had a whole bunch of host of issues before they even got him there in the first place. Then you have the New Orleans Saints, who got Derek Carr. But historically, Derek Carr is terrible in new offenses in his first season. Stinks up the joint. So we have no faith in him in New Orleans. Tampa Bay. If Tom Brady couldn't get it done in Tampa Bay with the team they currently have, what makes you think Baker Mayfield can?
Ooh.
We don't. So that leads me by default and also belief to say that the Falcons will come out first in the division. They have made significant changes in stride. The most important thing to me that I saw in postseason is that they were completing games with the second string. And historically, that has been a problem for the Falcons. They cannot close out games. They can't finish games. They were a 2.5 quarter team. And I saw them play, or I'm seeing them play more complete full games during the preseason. Hopefully this carries on in the postseason. I firmly feel like if they do with Desmond Ridder at the helm, that we have a great opportunity to come out the top of the NFC South. That's as far as I'm going to go for them there. But a win is a win. There we go.
Stacey, I'm gonna have to agree with you. I didn't, flat out pick them in my notes, but I feel like everything in my notes is saying it's got to be them. For all the reasons that you just said. I mean, as much as I would love to cheer for Coach Wright, because y'all got him from the Colts, and I'm currently in North Carolina. Like, would love to cheer for him, but a new team, new coaching staff, young quarterback. You gotta. It's gonna be a learning season for them. They gotta figure their lives out. The Bucs are trying to adjust from having the GOAT. and the GOAT sidekick in Gronk. Again, you got to adjust there. Jameis can't see, so
Not James Lord.
like,
From whatever demons hold him back.
right.
I love him so much, and I just want him
Right.
to win. And it's just I don't know what's
It's not happening. It's not happening. So again, like I don't have anything else to say about the Saints other than can we check Jameis's prescription for his contacts, get him some sports goggles, just make the Lord just make him be able to see this season. That's all I got to say. My mom said if I don't got nothing nice to say, don't say nothing. That's all I got. So it's got to be the Falcons. It's got to be the Falcons.
Yeah, I actually got to agree with both of you. But I think the one thing that y'all not missing out on is that you did get Jeff Okudua from the Detroit Lions this offseason. And you also acquired Jesse Bates from the Bengals. To me, who's the top safety in football. You can definitely argue top 5, like I said before. That's all going to matter because now you got a secondary that you can build around along with the star stud that you already had in A.J. Terrell. That secondary to me is going to be extremely underrated. You're an extreme, vulnerable division in the NFC South division, which is definitely going to matter. So I'm definitely going to pick the Falcons. The only question mark I have is can Desmond Ridder in year 2 take a step that unfortunately he did not take in year 1, but defensively did not have the fair chance. But you also got veteran defensive tackle or defensive end and Calais Campbell to me, who can be a huge factor as well. And on top of that, if it wasn't for a BS call in favor of Tom Brady last year, the Falcons with a little bit of nothing, not even remotely the paper.
Thanks for bringing that back up.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Not even remotely with the team last year that they had. They would have won the NFC South last year. I don't see it in the
And they
book.
said we were going to win 4 games, and we damn near won the division last year.
I don't have faith in Baker Mayfield. And then Bryce Young, everything you just said, offensive line in Carolina is pretty suspect. Running game is pretty suspect. I still got questions about your secondary, even though you did acquire Von Bell from the Bengals, and you also have J.C. Horn. But you're going to need more than that because while the Falcons are coming with Jesse Bates and Jeff Okudua, they're also coming with A.J. Terrell. Who's your third man? You got the Bucks that just don't have a secondary at all. And then you have, who else is in this division? The Saints? Who's Marshawn Lattimore? Who else? Defensive line is suspect. Offensive line is suspect. You have a questionable quarterback in Derek Carr. That's going to matter, especially with a player like Jesse Bates, who has been a nightmare for Derek Carr. That's all going to matter in this division. So I just think that it's up to Drake London and Desmond Ridder and them young fellas in that Falcons receiving corps to step up. And I think that ATL could definitely be turning up this year in the South Division.
We will. I'm going to go ahead and put it in the rafters right now. Going ahead and put it in my order. I'm letting them know. I want the font and everything. Hang it up in the rafters.
All right, so we're going down to one of the final topics. We got the NFL playoffs. Who's in, who's out in your book? Which one of these teams from the postseason last year who made the playoffs? Now, the list of the AFC teams were the Chiefs, the Bengals, not the Vikings, the Ravens. Then it was the Chargers, the Dolphins, and then I believe it was the Bills. So, out of all these teams in the AFC, who's in and who's out this year? I'm going to go with the Bengals, but I'm explaining that.
So, who's in and who's out, or just who are we focusing on first? My bad.
Okay, let's start here. Who do you got to make the playoffs? Now, obviously, you guys will have the Ravens. Do you have another AFC North team to make the playoffs? I got the Ravens and the Steelers.
I have the Ravens and the Bengals. I'm sorry, Shay.
The Bengals?
The Bengals. To make the playoffs. Yes, to make the playoffs. I cannot speak on how far I think they're going to go in the playoffs. I feel like the competition is going to be way too steep for them to kind of, diddy bop their way into it, deeply into it this season. But to make the playoffs, I think that they are going to make the playoffs at the very least.
Think it's going to be the Chiefs and the Ravens in AFC. So we'll see.
Okay, so my playoff teams I got right here. I'm gonna list them right now. So my playoff teams, I got the Chiefs, I got the Steelers, I got the Jaguars, I got the Bills, I got the Ravens, the Jets, and I also have the Los Angeles Chargers. Now,
Oh, you want a complete rundown?
Oh, okay, my bad.
Okay, excuse me, I misunderstood
Right.
the assignment. I thought we already
Listen.
knew that the Chiefs were gonna win everything, so it's just like,
I'm gonna tell you,
like, who else are we talking about?
yeah, ladies. Listen, I gotta explain why I got the Bengals to miss the playoffs. Losing Jesse, even though you may have Dax Hill and them fellas, but you're not replacing that within a year. I don't care what a Bengal fan say. Your cornerback room is still questionable. Your offensive line is still questionable. Splitting the series in the AFC North Division 3-3 when 3/4 to 1/2 of your division was in a clear reload and rebuilding phase without even their guy, their go-to guy, half of the season. That's going to matter if you're Cincinnati. Chase Higgins and Boyd, without question, the best trio in football. But there's only much they can do when their quarterback is not protected. And Joe Burrow has made has made a couple of careless throws that I think he's going to continue to make because he's Joe Burrow and he think he could keep getting it off. But eventually, people are going to pick up what's being put down and it's going to put an end to that. And I think it starts this year. Splitting the series with the entire division is not a good sign for the future, especially with an AFC North division that has only gotten better. Now, week one is definitely can be a loss for the Bengals because the Cleveland Browns has been a nightmare for the Bengals. Then you got to deal with the Ravens. Then you got to deal with the Steelers. Believe it or not, they would not win the AFC North division this year. The Bengals. We can definitely agree to that, but losing Jesse Bates, losing Von Bell is definitely going to hurt. I don't see Orlando Brown making the impact that Bengal fans think they're going to make. Or think he's going to make. Love Collins, let's just call it quits. He ain't winning any of the matchups. TJ Watt, Alex Highsmith 1 week, Miles Garrett and Javon Ahmed and Zadarius Smith the following week. Then you got to deal with Roquan Smith and freaking Patrick Queen the next week. It's going to be too difficult. People, listen, I think this is going to be the year where people are finally going to catch on to the Bengals and going to put an end to their sense of reign term. But I got them to miss because they, to me, have lost more this offseason than they have gained. And they say losing Jesse Bates and Von Bell is not going to hurt. I think it is. You don't replace two top 10 safeties within one offseason with one snap. It doesn't work like that, and they're going to learn that the hard way.
And I know we haven't gotten there yet, so we can. Don't mind me. I have no problem with us going back to the AFC after I say this, but I don't see the Cowboys making it to the playoffs.
We didn't even bring them up. We didn't bring them up.
I'm
No one-
Cowboys
no one said
fans.
it. Okay.
I'm about to say this with my whole chest. I'm about to say this with my whole chest. I don't care if it's just friendly team competition, whatever you want to call it. My football babies from college and pros, there is no way you could punk me during practice. Dak, I'm going to need you to go to the Wizard and find some heart, kind sir.
You need to stand up. Stand up, baby. Dak, Dakota Rain.
Because,
stand up,
little baby, what are you doing?
You got to stand
and
up.
then you don't have Zeke anymore either? Baby.
That's hurt, Dallas.
You can come on and sit next to me and the Colts on this couch, kind sir.
That's going to hurt. The NFC, who's in, who's out?
Let me look at my list.
Because of the NFC last year, it was the Niners, the Eagles, the Vikings, the Buccaneers, the Giants, the Cowboys, and the Seahawks who made the playoffs last year. Who's in?
Okay. Oh, shoot. Hold on.
I could see the Eagles going back, and again, for the very same reasons that we've already talked about with other quarterbacks.
Right.
Jalen has stuff to prove.
I have Eagles, Lions, Falcons, Seahawks, 49ers, and Giants.
Good pick. My playoff teams, I got Eagles, Niners, Lions, Falcons, Packers, Seahawks, and Kayla. I get what you're saying, but I'm gonna go with the Cowboys because here's the deal. I can't see the Giants making the playoffs this year with the Saquon Barkley situation. Along with, I don't see much improvement within their offensive line. I also don't see what weapons you have to compete right now. And the one thing about Dallas, they still got Micah Parsons, they still got Trevon Diggs, they still got CeeDee Lamb, and they still got Tony Pollard. So to me, they have more than enough weapons. The only question mark is Dak, but the same way you question Dak, you can question Daniel Jones even more. And that's really what's going to be. Who has the stronger arm? Obviously, we know Jalen Hurts is going to lead that division because, duh, one
Right.
look at the Eagles already had prior into this, prior to the draft, along with the draft and free agency. Think about that. I don't see nobody outgunning that Philadelphia Eagles team. So let's just rule them out. Then you got the Commanders. Come on, they can't even figure out a damn.
Oh, we
I mean, Magic did say that there's going to be a name change coming again.
They can't even get their name together, let alone their roster. So there goes them. Then you got the Giants, who has a habit of splitting with the Cowboys, and then it's like your defense is still question mark. I still look at the secondary, that whole damn secondary now got question marks all over it. So it's like when you have all of that, you don't have a stud in every field that you need to succeed. And I think the Giants are going to take a step back because of that, because you've been so focused on the Saquon Barkley situation that you forgot to take care of those around you and build a strong enough team around him and the others that are still there. So that's why I'm going to pick the Giants to miss, but I'm also going to pick the Vikings for everything that I already mentioned. The Dalvin Cook loss is going to hurt them. So is the Adam Thielen. I don't think that Brian Flores has enough on his defense in the Vikings to work with. So I think they're going to take a step back. I got question marks about their offensive line. I don't see much faith in them, and I don't know who their running back is going to be now that Dalvin Cook is out of town. That's going to matter with it. With Harrison Smith aging, that's all going to matter. So that's why I don't have the Vikings and the Cowboys. The one thing I like but I hate about them, they choke up so much in that same dance that they always find their freaking way in. And I think that streak is going to continue this year. So my playoff teams are going to be the Eagles, Niners, Lions, Falcons, Packers, Seahawks, and the Dallas Cowboys.
You mean Jerry gonna pay the refs? Is that what you meant?
Unfortunately.
And I know the NFL scriptwriters probably won't let this happen, but will we be mad if we got a rematch from last year's Super Bowl?
I wouldn't be.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
I think it's
Love to
needed.
see it. Love to see it. It was a great Super Bowl. Actually, a competitive Super Bowl. It was a great one to watch.
But again,
I
the
feel
scriptwriters won't let us be great and have that
I feel
again.
like lately the Super Bowls had either been not really competitive or blowouts or something like that, and you're really watching for the halftime show and the commercials. But this last Super Bowl, it was definitely more entertaining than some of the previous Super Bowls, so I wouldn't be mad at it at all.
All right.
Not ready for these last questions.
Ooh, yeah, it's about to hit now.
Not ready. All right, I'll ask. What will we miss most about the show? And I can start if we want me to start. I think biggest thing is I'm gonna miss y'all. I know this is not goodbye to the three of us by any means, but I think, Shay, one of the things that you and I talked about briefly, like shortly after I joined the show, is I love that this offered a space that is very much giving barbershop on a Saturday morning for women in sports, like for us to share our takes, for us to explore it. And then, I mean, like I said, but I love that y'all have let me say quarter blacks 20 million times an episode, and that this is indeed a Jacoby Brissett stan account. So that is honestly what I'm gonna miss.
You want to go, Stacey?
Yes, honestly, the same. I'm all for any spaces that not only encourages women in sports to speak sports, but for women in sports to authentically speak sports in the way that they want to, and not such in a way that is not so curated or in such a way where you feel as if you have to show up in a certain type of way. I'm all about being real and I'm all about being raw. And I truly appreciate the opportunity to do that here and that this podcast provided a platform to do so.
Yeah, pretty much everything that you guys said. Obviously, started the show on my own, but it did get funner down the road when you have people to talk to, especially when you struggle to book guests, and then you got someone who can just boom, 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 boom. But it's not just hosting the show. It's not just about people who know sports. It's about people who know sports, and even within disagreements, blend in so well because the chemistry is just there. And I think that's the one thing that I will miss is the chemistry that was built here. I don't think if I ever was to work with anyone else, I don't think it would match the chemistry that was built here. Because the vibes, it's just the vibes. It's just they're pretty much reading each other's minds. So it's like knowing one another from a distance, knowing what it's done. It's what made Shay Max Sports to me a household name in a freelance predicament.
Yes, and
It,
for all of the listeners that we have or may have, we have never been in the same space together. And I know you probably can't tell
Ever.
just by
they
watching the show.
Right.
We've never been in the same space.
Ever. Cross time zones.
Which is not saying that it
and
won't
the
ever
things.
happen, because I mean,
If it does,
both of
y'all are
y'all,
getting the
if
show.
y'all ever come to Atlanta, y'all better look me up. But
Oh,
yes,
of course.
definitely,
not to cut you off,
definitely.
Shay.
I feel
That's
like if we are in the same space, we better do a show.
Oh yeah, definitely. It's
We got
like
to.
it's no question because it's like you think about it from this perception. It also created, bonds that is going to last for a long time. And this is something I touched on before you hopped on, Stacey, with Kayla, is that it creates that. It creates, you find someone who has something in common with you. And you take that with you, whether you go to another journey together or whether you go your separate ways. But either way, it shows that there are people there that will back you, even if they don't agree with every move that you make. And that's the thing that I will miss the most is just finding someone to talk to, having someone to talk to, people who have common and share the same passion as you. And it's just keep my average strength here. It's just it created it. It's what made me today. I'm not talking about May Shayla. I'm talking about Shay Max Sports. That here's where it all got started. And no matter what, I will always take this with me, whether it's this show or next show or wherever my next journey will be, which I'm hoping is soon, but we never know. And that's the one thing I'm a love and miss about this. It's just the chemistry, the platform that it built, and the reason why things are for me what they are right now. This is where it started, and this will always be home no matter what.
Yeah, you going to the moon, girl? What you mean? No matter what,
Right, exactly.
That's you going to the moon, girl.
And I mean, I feel like we've already touched on this next question, but how do you guys feel the show help each of us, like individually, like in your own little space?
I'm gonna be transparent here. This show to me is what Destiny's Child is to Beyonce, pretty much. That's how I compare that because it's when you look back at your career and you look back at your journey, it started right here. People know you from doing this. When they look you up and they Google your name, one of the first things they're going to see is this. When they write a biography or whatever, and they do a life story on you, they're going to remember that you did it. That it started here. This is where it all got started. This is where you became that household name, or you became a name at all. And that's the one thing, and that's one of the ultimate reasons why I will never, ever, 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 ever forget the Mike Mom.
Yes. I completely agree. This is like even though I didn't conceptualize it, it's like my baby too. Like it's my first podcast. And my first chosen podcast because I had been offered to do podcasts before this. I've been offered to do podcasts during this as well. And it's just something about this podcast. I'm like, no, I'm going to say yes to this. I feel good about it. Like you're saying, the vibes were there, the chemistry is there, and this is just like, yeah, it's my baby. So, like you said, it'll always be the first. Your first is always special. You can never replace your first. But it's gonna be onward and upward for both of us. But this experience is something that can never be replaced.
Never.
Right. And I mean, just to add on, I'm not going to repeat what y'all said because I feel like it's true, but I feel like also from the standpoint of just randomly texting y'all about like, look, this is what it is in this right now. And like, I just love that, like, it created a space to be like, you know what, I'm over it. But like, it's always, that chance of, okay, like I get to spend an hour and a half with my girls this week, like just to blow off that steam. But also I feel, with our guests, like that's opening us up to like network with other people. And I feel like even with just the three of us between our networks, like, hey, you should get in contact with so-and-so, because I know we're all kind of in a transition, not just from the podcast, but like in our personal, y'all, we got other jobs besides this, like, but like, I feel like all of us are in a transition period with that, where it's just like, hey, have you thought about reaching out to so-and-so? Or make sure that you have this podcast on your resume as like a part of you. Like, this was our baby, like.
Definitely.
But yeah, so last question before we sign off, y'all. What did the show mean to you?
It meant the world. I mean, like I said, it's what started it for me. Like, when you think of Shea Max Sports, the first thing that's going to come to your head until further notice is the mic bomb. It's like no ifs, ands, or buts about it. But I definitely trust this journey. Listen, my confidence, my abilities is what started this. So I know if it starts this, it can definitely take me further, and I believe it will. But obviously, everyone needs their time. Everyone just needs, a new step. But it's no ifs, ands, or buts. I will always take this with me. I will always keep things as memories, and that's just gonna be that for me. But
yeah,
I already told you, if you cry, I'm gonna be not far behind you. So, but I think for me, it's just the fact that like I literally have y'all. Like, I know y'all have my back, and like we've already said, like if we're ever in the same area, I know it's a. So do you have like headphones and all that? Like, you ready to go and record like right now? Like,
definitely.
I know it's nothing but if you with it, I'm with it then.
Definitely. And, anything was to start up again, which probably it will, whenever things get good and things get better, without question, I'll bring y'all on just for a reunion. Definitely. It's just no question. Like, I will take y'all with me. I will have y'all do random pop-ups here and there. It's no question.
Let me know when.
all for it.
Without the podcast, you're still my girls. And that's the one thing I'm thankful for this podcast about, is that it allowed me to create a bond that, like I've said before, is going to last for a long time. And that's what I'm the most grateful for, along with what it done for me as a name and as a brand.
Agree.
Thanks, you got to end it. You got to end it. Here's the last answer.
So with the last words on the mic bomb, what it meant, it's like you can't even put it into one word.
You're really gonna do this to us now?
See how
Right,
the
like you just...
was busy. I got a phone call right when I was about to speak. See, look, the spirit don't want it to end either. But so it's just like all I could see is potential. Like, for all of us, I think we all kind of know what we are capable of, but taking that first step when you can't see it is scary sometimes. And I believe this is just a light on that first step. And this podcast just shows us we can do whatever we like, literally whatever we put our minds to. Reading Rainbow moment. Like, it's literally only up from here. And this podcast just kind of helped us all see that. This podcast opened our eyes, opened our possibilities, opened our confidence, opened all of these other things. I'm not saying that we didn't have it before, but unlocked new levels of self.
It made it bigger.
So yes, think big. What did that man say? That glorious man. You got to think bigger, bitch. Like, it is just like this podcast.
Today's price and tomorrow's price are different.
Yes. I don't know. You might have to bleep that out. You know, SEC regulations. But this podcast definitely did that, and from the support of you all, to have that, knowing that you're not alone, even sometimes when you might want to make moves that it might seem scary, just pulling from the energy and the confidence from you two and us as a group. So that's what this podcast means to us. Just seeing limitless opportunities, limitless potential, limitless everything.
All right, Shay, you want to do it one last time? Send us off.
Hi. So once again, thankful for everyone who has supported the show, everyone who has watched it, given me, Kayla, Stacy, all courage to do whatever, like Stacy said, we please. Thank you for allowing us to show you our true potential individually and together as a whole, as a group. And we would definitely miss doing this. It's fun, but all good things unfortunately have to come to an end, and this is the end. But I say we knocked this episode completely out the park. And if it, the last bomb was the best bombs to me, because we just left it all on the table.
No crumbs.
Plus, we had nothing to lose, and we just took it there and just reminded everyone why we started this in the first place.
What did Jabu say? W. We eating W's. We eating W's.
All right,
every week.
Time to sign off, girls. So this is your host one last time. This is your host, May Shayla, co-host Kayla Lewis, and of course, Miss Stacy J. We are now officially signing off, and this is the final goodbye of the Mike Bomb Podcast.
Bye.
The Mike Bomb Podcast, the podcast where the bombs get thrown. Thank you for tuning in to the latest and final episode of the Mike Bomb. Doing this podcast has meant the world to me and the Mike Bomb family. As we now go on our separate journey, I, your host Shay, would like to take this time to thank you all for your love and genuine support from the beginning to the end of the show. You can still catch this episode and all the previous episodes on your favorite platforms such as Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, iHeartRadio, and much more. Once again, thank you all.
This is my night, this is my pain, this is my life, this is what I was born to do. I was born to do. Every new day, every new night, every new stage, every new fight. This is what I was born to do. I was born to do. Fall to my knees every night and I pray, asking Lord, let him hear. I got something to say. There's a fear out there and it's coming your way. Don't let it stop you from living for what you were made. It's not a dream, it's a destiny.